We're at Autobahn. Good luck this weekend. I think we got some good things to work on here. I think you're driving really well. The actual main point for me is actually turn 1 that I'd like to see you work on. So let's go through this really quick full speed, and then I'll come back through it. Ideally, I'd like to see you treat this as more or less one corner with 2 apexes versus 2 different corners. So we have this really late turn in, and then you're on throttle a little bit, all the way through, all the way through, all the way through, all the way through. We never really get back to full throttle before turn 2. What I would like to see you try is treat this more as like a double apex corner where we're going to be turning in earlier into turn 1 and try and like diamond it off in the middle of turn 2 and then, turn 1A in the middle there and then turning back. And I'd like to see you trail braking, carrying a lot more entry speed and not getting the throttle until we really start to get the rotation back to the right for what I would call the second apex. So the big thing here is I would be trying to still trail brake, bend it in already. Start bending it in. Ideally apexing, back in here, but with a very similar spot to where you apex with a very different angle of the car. So if I'm starting to bend it in, well, what ends up happening is we're going to apex at the same spot, but you notice how hard you turn to get down here and how we're all ready to throttle, where I would like to see your car angle looking way more straight, where we're looking very much this way. And what that allows us to do is roll that more entry speed and trail brake deeper into the corner, then get to rotation and then be able to get to full throttle much earlier. And that is going to unlock speed for us, because when we're getting to this initial throttle here, we're limiting the amount of grip we've got. You're waiting on the front end all the way through this corner, and you only have, let's say 90% of the available grip because of that. Where if we can trail brake, keep the weight on the front nose longer into the corner, you're unlocking, up to 100% grip and then getting that rotation and then getting to full throttle much, much earlier. So I'd like to see you turn in earlier but slower, so we're arriving at the same apex point with that different angle of the car and waiting on throttle. No throttle. Wait. Here's where I'd like to get the rotation and only get back to initial throttle about here to here-ish. That may be difficult to do, but that's our goal. And then we'll be back to full throttle by here. And for me, just a small note, we want to get the car back to the right, set up for the, I guess that's technically turn 2 there, or 3, the left-hander. But you don't need the car all the way to the right here. Let it be a little bit more free, a third of a car width off, and then work it back to the right here. Ideally, I want to see you attack the entry here a little bit more so that maybe we can get a full lift or work on getting back to full throttle earlier. So I'd like to see a little bit of full throttle here, then lift. You might need a full lift here, but what it'll allow you to do is get more weight on the front nose, and then if you can start attacking throttle here, maybe you'll be full throttle by, back in this area, you'll be able to get to it, and you'll have a little bit more entry speed, and you'll be able to get to full throttle much earlier, where you see we only get to full throttle kind of, maybe it's not quite working here. I'm sure you're full throttle by now. Let me go back and kind of get a better judge for where we're getting to full throttle. We're probably getting to full throttle out about here somewhere. So if we can roll a little bit more entry speed, maybe it'll require a bigger lift, but then that'll help the rotation of the car and help you get back to full throttle earlier. So that's going to be that section right there, I think, is the most important area for us to work on. And the concept of where we go to throttle, you are very good in a lot of corners, but there's some that we just need to continue to build that discipline in on. For instance, here, I think we're pretty good line. A little early to throttle here, and then I'd like to really see you delay that initial throttle until we get out to that apex point right about here. So closer, but still a little bit early to initial throttle. So work on that back end of the brake zone, that lightening up of the brakes. And I think I've drawn this for you, but I don't exactly remember, so let me do that one more time. If this is our brake zone, I would say your brake trace, good initial hit. Our brake trace here looks something like this. To be able, once we really start working on, okay, I'm not allowed to get the throttle until that apex point, how do we start rolling that speed in? I don't want you braking deeper. I want you braking lighter. So this would be the right, good hit in the initial brakes, but then you see immediately trying to get off that peak brake pressure and then extending our brake zone at a lighter brake pressure. and that's where the entry speed will start to come from. And that's what I want you to work on. The last thing we'll work on eventually is working up that initial brake zone. I think I've talked about that with you before, but I just wanted to kind of refreshment there. And then you'll be able to get to full throttle much earlier. That'll be important. This next little section here, I think we look pretty good through. Nice job here on initial throttle using all the road. That's perfect, exactly what I want to see. Let's see through here. What I like here is you kind of then treat this how I almost want you to treat turn one. It's not the same type of corner. It's a lot more open on entry, but you drive it in harder, use all of the road. I'd like to see you use even a little bit more road out here to our left. You notice we're not all the way out there, and we're still getting to initial throttle just a little too early. I really want to see you delay it until this point. So work on braking lighter, rolling a little bit more entry speed, and trying to delay that initial throttle until that point. The first thing is working on the discipline to only get into initial throttle here, and then naturally that entry speed will start to come. Nice job on exit there. Very, very good. Beautiful through here. Let's see. So for me here, I would like to see you work on the earlier, slower turn-ins to this back half of the track. We kind of reverted back to kind of what we learned in DE, which is a super late, aggressive turn-in. I would really like to see you bend it in, maybe a half car length to a car length earlier and slower. And what that'll do for us is it will allow us to roll more entry speed. So I'm going to exaggerate this a little bit to try and show you the difference of what I mean. Of the line. So if we are gradually turning in slower, our line will look something like this. When we have that really late aggressive turn in, it may look something like this. You'll see we're apexing at the right spot, but the angle of the car will be different at that apex. And what ends up happening is the radius difference between here and here is quite a lot different. The green line allows you to roll more entry speed because it's less sharp of an angle. When we really crank in the wheel like that, you're essentially tightening up the corner, so you can't roll extra entry speed. You have to overslow the car to do that. So let's work on slower hands and an earlier turn-in. So we apex at the same point, but we have a different angle of the car. So you end up apexing here. The other thing is, you'll notice there's a little bit of camber down in here. And what ends up happening is we turn it earlier. The car almost uses that camber to catch it. You can really take advantage of the extra grip. When we turn in late, you'll see it right here. We kind of just drop into it where it's not really taking advantage of the extra grip it gives us if we just kind of go dropping in. So nice earlier, slower hands, help catch the car, and then using all the road on exit, very nice. Same thing here. I'd like to see a slower and an earlier turn in. Get down to that apex. Nice job. Good through here. Again, I would like to see you out of the last corner. Let me see if I can back this up. Oops, did I go a little too far? No, I think it's all right. So out of this corner here, I would like to see you attack the throttle more. So get back to that full throttle, maybe even a little bit longer. And then when you lift, you'll be lifting, and you notice how we're going to throttle here and we're before the apex. I still want to see you lifting, and now getting back to throttle. So to be able to do that, you attack out of the exit of the previous corner a little bit more, delay that delay that initial throttle here until you get to the apex, and then work your way out of it. That'll help you all the way down this back straightaway. Nice one. Take a breath here. So here I think we charged the brake zone a little too much on this lap. I'd like to see you brake maybe just a little bit earlier, turn in a little bit earlier. Nothing's here. With those slower hands to get down to that apex. So you can see here, pretty decent actually. I take that back. This is a good turn-in marker, good hands. I like that. But you'll notice we can't really keep full throttle for this next corner. So what I'd like to see you do here is just sacrifice a little bit here, just a little bit to keep it a little bit further right so that we can be full throttle through this last corner. So it's just working a little bit back, maybe and 2 car lengths earlier on the brake zone, so that you can hold it a little bit right, commit to full throttle out of that first right-hander at the end of the back straightaway, and keep full throttle through that left-hander. I think that'll help allow you to be faster for a longer period of time, which is exactly what we want. Break it in here. Nice job. Pretty good throttle for me. I'd still like to see you be a little bit later on there, a little bit more entry speed, but I think that's pretty good. So as you see, that's our lap around here. For me, the main areas to work on is really going to be that first sector, the turn 1, 2, 3 area. I think that'll really help. Continuing to work on that throttle, be disciplined on no throttle until entry, and then once we get that discipline, you're going to start to want to bring in more entry speed. We're going to do that by lightening off the peak brake pressure and extending our brake zones for a longer period of time with lighter pressure. So hopefully that helps. Good luck this weekend. Let us know how you do, and if there's anything else we can do to help, let us know.